The latest Pompey news, updates every day from the Pompey Sound news desk.
Here's how the BBC saw Saturday's game at Blackburn.
Hayden Carter snatched a point for Blackburn with an injury-time header, sealing a 1-1 draw against fellow Championship strugglers Portsmouth in a real scrap at Ewood Park. The defender's last-gasp effort cancelled out what looked to be a late winner from Pompey's Conor Ogilvie, who had fired the visitors ahead with just 10 minutes left on the clock. It was a tough watch for long spells in Lancashire, with neither side able to get a grip on the game. Quality was in short supply, a fact best summed up by Ogilvie's opener being the first shot on target from either team, coming in the 81st minute. The result stops the rot for Rovers' new interim boss Michael O'Neill, ending a run of straight defeats, while for John Mousinho, celebrating his 150th league game in charge, it was Pompey's first point after 2 consecutive losses. With just a point and a place separating them at kick-off, and both teams looking nervously over their shoulders at the trapdoor, you could tell neither was prepared to give an inch. The host should have been ahead early, when Yuki Ohashi blazed over unmarked from 10 yards out, a miss that really set the tone for the afternoon. Ohashi was in the thick of it again soon after, but his shot was smothered by a crunching block from Ebu Adams. At the other end, Adams was Pompey's biggest threat. He sent a header from a Marlon Pack flick-on just wide before impressively muscling through the Blackburn midfield, only to fire over the bar. After the break, Blackburn had the better of what few chances there were. Taylor Gardner-Hickman saw a low drive skid just the wrong side of the post, before Yuri Ribeiro lashed an effort wide. As the game drifted towards its conclusion, a scrappy 0-0 seemed inevitable. That all changed when Ogilvie popped up on the edge of the area, and his strike took a slight deflection as it flew into the net. That goal finally sparked Rovers into life for one last throw of the dice. They piled on the pressure and, in the final few seconds, got their reward. Carter, a former Portsmouth player, met a cross perfectly to guide his header past Nicola Schmid and rescue a point. While both sides remain worryingly close to the bottom 3, Blackburn can at least celebrate being on the right side of a last-minute goal for once, having thrown away more points from winning positions than any other team in the division this season.
Interesting, having thrown away the lead in more games than anybody else in the table. Sometimes the statistics are more interesting than the game itself. And I think I'm right in saying, from what we just heard, that there are only 2 shots on target. Because if Conor Ogilvie's was the first shot on target, and it went in, I can't remember them having any shots on target, might be wrong, subsequently, or us subsequently. So it could be that it was a game of 2 goals and only 2 shots on target, which is the kind of statistic that you hope is retained in one's mind and replaces the enormous disappointment that everybody feels for having basically lost 2 points, thrown 2 points away, had 2 points snatched, a draw from the jaws of victory, and so on, so on, and so forth. Still gutted come the Sunday, and I think most Pompey fans will be still gutted until at least Tuesday into next week.
I'm just absolutely furious that we've done what we've done there. Worked so hard for 85 minutes. We've got the goal from the set piece. We've spoken about the difference in games over the past few weeks being exactly that. We've done that to an opposition side today, and I thought that having controlled the game, we deserved that little bit of luck, and I think we just completely lost the plot after that. Yep. I just think it's the mentality of the side. We do the right things for 90 minutes, or for 85 minutes, sorry. Go a goal ahead, but it's been a theme, I think, over the past couple of weeks. We let Charlton back into the game, we let Millwall back into the game. As soon as we got that gap between us and the bottom 4, we lost 2 games. So I think it's something we, as a squad and as a side, we seriously have to sit down, think about, and address. There's not a huge amount. We can't go into the training pitch and work on that. The only thing I can do is tell the players that today wasn't acceptable. It's got to be. You watch the game. You tell me the difference between the first 85 minutes and the last 10 minutes. The only difference was the fact that we went a goal ahead, and yet Blackburn committed a couple of more bodies forward, but I didn't look at the game and think, they're all of a sudden outnumbering us in all these areas. We started to lose headers, we started to lose second balls, we started to commit too many bodies forward. We let them back inside for the goal, the first time we've done it all game, and ultimately we got punished. Yeah, I'm fuming with it. It's not on. We should have been. This is one of those games where we haven't had it this season, so we've hardly. I think whenever we've won games this season, we've deserved to win them, and whenever we've drawn games, they've been about right. I think that's that's fair for the season as a whole. This was one of those today where I thought it was tight. It was cagey. We controlled the game pretty well. I think we had, barring the Blackburn's chance in the opening couple of minutes, we had the better of the opportunities. And when we get that little bit of maybe a little bit of fortune, the ball drops to us in the box, all of a sudden we're the side that's got the goal lead. We need to see those games out. We need to be much better at going, right, this is us, 1-0 away from home. We've done well. Thank you very much for the 3 points, but we didn't. We gifted them back a point.
John Mousinho speaking after the game, and the question that has to be asked is, will it do any good for him to be furious with his players? Because if he was that furious on the touchline after having a word with them after the final whistle and they went in, he presumably was spitting blood. And if he was spitting blood, there may have been a lot of genuine emotion involved, and I expect there was, of course, but there was also method in his, with a small m, madness, anger, because it can work. And quite simply what he wanted Pompey to do was to see the game through until the final whistle, not see the game through until 30 seconds before the final whistle, because I think it was something like 93 minutes and 30 seconds of a game which had had 4 minutes, only 4 minutes added time. I think I heard some Blackburn people groaning because they hoped it was going to be 7, 8, 9 or 10, which it never was, because all there was substitutions, and they were pretty professionally dealt with by both sides. But he wanted the blue shirts to fight until the end and not to kind of say to themselves, job done, we've scored, there's only 10 minutes to go, they're not going to equalise, are they? And indeed the way they'd been playing, they weren't going to equalise. But if you let your guard drop, anything can happen. And it did.
Conor Ogilvie looked to have scored his first goal of the season at the perfect time to secure Pompey a valuable away win. The left-back fired home on 84 minutes to give them the lead at Ewood Park against a Blackburn side also battling for championship survival. But there was still time for Hayden Carter to convert a last-gasp header and wipe a couple of points from his former club's tally. And Ogilvie admitted that heading back to the south coast without a maximum haul was a bitter pill to swallow. He said,
I just knew that I had to stick my laces through it, and thankfully it went in. I was a bit worried that I wasn't going to get one this season. It's a sickening blow. We had control of the game, scored our goal, and then to concede so late was a real sucker punch. But when you go ahead so late on, you expect to see it out. It's so disappointing, and the boys need to regroup. We shouldn't be conceding like that, and everyone knows that we have to be a lot better in those situations. I think we've had control of most games in the past 10 weeks, and it's just about converting that dominance into more wins and showing more of a killer instinct. We're still in an okay position in the table, but with the way we're playing, we know that the gap could be bigger. It will be a long journey home, and I know it's going to be the same for the fans, so we have to put things right for them on Tuesday. Regs is a big part of what we do, and so that's disappointing, although it's good to see Shocks back on the pitch again.
Conor Ogilvie on that game. If they were to run the Player of the Year, Player of the Season competition right now, I think I'm right in saying that it would be between one of two players, Adams and Ogilvie. And it's interesting, isn't it? Two things. First off, these are both guys who roll up their sleeves and go about their business and generally come away with the ball. Almost always come away with the ball. They're fantastic at that. They make good use of the ball. Ogilvie's distribution has become quite perceptive. And ditto running with the ball. Adams is now a force to be reckoned with. He sometimes shoulder charges his way past people who are trying to tackle him. So those two have got so much going for them. At the moment, I think you'd have to flip a coin, but I think Adams would probably just about edge it. But Ogilvie a close second. The other interesting thing is we must keep reminding ourselves that almost everybody, possibly including Conor himself, thought at the start of last season, our first season back in the Championship, that he might struggle. Almost everybody had this quietly felt fear that he wouldn't quite have the pace against what we expected to be the electric pace of wingers when we moved up a tier. And we were wrong. And we need to remind ourselves that we were wrong. Perhaps we were right to have that concern, but that concern turned out to be ill-founded because he's a professional and he worked out how to deal with if he was confronted with it, a winger who had half a yard on him, because he's that good and he's that reliable and he's that intelligent and he's that much of a professional footballer, Conor Ogilvie. It might have to be a joint award. If they did it this week, a joint award, Player of the Year, a tie between Adams and Ogilvie. We've got another 10 games, whatever it is, for everybody to make their mind up on that one. But at the moment, two very, very, very strong candidates. Although it tells us something a little bit about ourselves, that we are lauding players who roll up their sleeves and get stuck in, as opposed to players who are sheer class and elegance and work their magic a little bit further up the pitch. But as long as we go on getting 1.5 points a game between now and the end of the season, and those two are men who are likely to make a bigger contribution than most to that kind of an achievement, who cares?